Yo, what's good, Jets Nation? This is NY Jets Media, bringing you guys the third episode to the series I created when I dive deep into each position groups on the New York Jets. In this one, I will be giving you guys my opinion on the wide receiver position for the New York Jets. If you guys missed my previous two episodes on this series, I broke down the running backs and the cornerback positions, so make sure you check those out when you get a chance. And if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. I'm posting all Jets content. I'm noticing I have a bunch of new subscribers, so if you're new, welcome. And without further ado, let's jump right into this wide receiver group. So this is my projected depth chart for the wide receivers, starting off with Brashaad Perriman at the 1, and then Denzel Mims second. And then we got Jameson Crowder coming in on the 3rd on the depth chart, but that does not mean he's not starting. He's a slot receiver. He's probably the best receiver on this roster. I'm going to get into all individual players after I give you guys this projected depth chart. So 4th, going into the backups, I see Vincent Smith, then Josh Dachshund, Braxton Barrios, and then undrafted free agent Lawrence Cager, and then undrafted free agent George Campbell. And then, unfortunately, we have Quincy Wilson and Josh Bellamy on the injured reserve list, so they will not be suiting up at all in 2020, which is a huge blow to this position. So before I dive deep into each individual player, I'll give you guys my first initial thought on this group as a whole. Definitely a huge weakness for the Jets. On offense, probably our weakest position besides offensive line. The offensive line had a way better upgrade in the offseason than wide receivers. We lost Robby Andersen and we replaced him with Brashaad Perriman, and then we get rookie Denzel Mims, and then we didn't really add anybody else besides that. I know we added Josh Dachshund in the offseason and he hasn't played yet, so we don't know what he's going to be about. But this position worries me the most on this offense because there's no depth, and it really makes me worried. I'm really high on some players that I'm going to give you guys when I break down each individual player, but as a group in general, as a whole, I'm not confident at all that this position is going to help Sam Darnold excel and help this offense explode. I really am not. It's probably the weakest position on the offense besides the offensive line. Going into each individual player, I'm going to start off with Brashaad Perriman. We signed him in the offseason for a 1-year deal. And obviously, like I said previously, he is Robby Andersen's replacement. Right when we found out Robby's going to the Panthers, Joe Douglas quickly signs Brashaad Perriman, which I was hoping for because he was on the market and we needed somebody in the building to replace Robby. Brashaad Perriman is a former first-round pick coming out of UCF and was drafted by the Baltimore Ravens. He did not play at all his rookie season. He battled injury. Came back second year. He played nice. He wasn't flash. He wasn't like a first. Basically, Brashaad Perriman was a bust. Put it that way. Plain and simple. If you're a first-round talent, you should be putting up way more production numbers. But looking at Perriman now, where he's at in his career, he's been on the Ravens, and then he went to the Browns. He caught a couple touchdown passes from Baker Mayfield, and then he went to the Buccaneers. And if you see the production he put up for the Buccaneers in the back end of that season last year when Mike Evans and Chris Godwin was injured and he finally got the opportunity to be a number 1 receiver, he was putting up insane numbers. He had a 3-touchdown game. I remember in fantasy football, I was versing him in like every other week it felt like, and he was just going off on me. And I'm like, why is Brashaad Perriman all of a sudden a beast? And the reason is because he got his opportunity. He was sitting behind Mike Evans and Chris Godwin all season, and that right there shows you that Brashaad Perriman has potential to be a number 1 option on a football team. Brashaad Perriman, like I just said, was an absolute monster at the back end of that year when he was the number 1 option. So do I believe Brashaad Perriman's going to put up number 1 numbers consistently for the Jets in 2020? I'm not sold. I really do not feel comfortable that I'm saying Brashaad Perriman is the number 1 target for Sam Darnold in 2020. He's a guy that should be a backup and provide depth and a swing player, but he is our best. He's going to be our number 1 target, just that role of number 1 receiver. Jameson Crowder is going to get more targets because he's a slot and all that type of stuff, but looking at like the outside number 1 receiver, it's going to be Brashaad Perriman. And then going into Denzel Mims, the rookie out of Baylor, he was our 2nd-round pick. I think this is going to be our future wide receiver 1 for the next 10 years. His rookie season, I don't think they're going to put him in that position immediately and make him the number 1 target and he gets 10 to 14 targets a game. I feel like Denzel Mims is going to develop, and probably by next year or even at the end of the season, he's going to be the number 1 target for Sam Darnold. And like I said, I really, really am huge on Denzel Mims. I feel like he has all the traits you need in a wide receiver and to excel at an elite level. He has size. He's 6'3". He has long arms. He has speed. He ran a 4.39 in the 40-yard dash. That's like unheard of for somebody that long and lanky. That's like Julio Jones type athleticism. Am I comparing him to Julio Jones? No, but I'm just saying his body type reminds me of a Julio. He's the type of guy that can throw up the ball in the end zone and he can like torque his body and just his arms are so long and snag it from the high point. The Jets, especially Sam Darnold, has not had a wide receiver anything close to Denzel Mims in his career in his first 2 years on the Jets. He's never had anybody where you can just throw the ball up and let the receiver go up and make a play. Usually when Darnold does that, it ends up being like a pick or something because his weapons are that bad. Robby Andersen was obviously Sam Darnold's number one target for his first 2 years. Robby Anderson's not a normal receiver. Robby Anderson's not a guy that can go up and get a contested ball from the air. He's a speedy guy. He's a one-dimensional receiver. I love Robby, and I miss him, and I'm hope for the best for him on the Panthers. But looking at Denzel Mims, I really am high on him, and I think he can become our number one receiver for the future in this offense with Sam Darnold, and I'm so happy he fell to the second round. He's easily a first-round talent. Going into the draft, I did a lot of homework on the wide receivers because obviously the Jets were going to get one either in the first, second, third, or fourth round. I watched a lot of highlights, and whenever I saw Denzel Mims highlights, I was like, he's insane. We're not getting him because he's going to go late in the first round, early in the second. So I never looked at Denzel as a potential target for the Jets. And somehow he fell all the way in the back end of the second round to the Jets. And he kind of reminds you of DK Metcalf in terms of he's huge. He's not as big and bulky as DK, but DK went late in the second round. He's a big body, and he clicked in his rookie year already with Russell Wilson. I feel like Denzel Mims can come in and have an immediate impact, put up solid numbers, and develop under... We have Hines Ward on the coaching staff, a former great wide receiver for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I cannot wait to see him get in the coaching room with Denzel and develop him. So, as you guys can tell, I could talk about Denzel all day. He is going to be a beast, and I'm hoping he's going to develop into our number one receiver for the future. Going into our slot receiver, Jameson Crowder, he was easily our best receiver in 2019. He was Sam Darnold's security blanket. He was always got open over the middle, and he just has that quick little flick to him. That's why I like to use that word flick, because he always would line up in the slot, and then he would have if it's man-to-man, he would have a linebacker on him, and he would just give him that little, and then he would just be wide open over the middle. Sam Darnold would give him a 7-yard pass, and you can take it for a first down. That's what he really was the best at, and he has easily the best chemistry with Sam Darnold going into 2020. So I really am happy that Jameson Crowder got signed to like a multi-year contract, so he wasn't a free agent. We have him this year. He's still pretty young. I think he's like 27. So we have those are our starting 3 wide receivers, and Jameson Crowder, obviously I picked him third on our depth chart. Excuse me, I can't even speak. But that does not mean he's not going to be on the field. A slot receiver, as you guys know, you don't need me to tell you this, but he's going to get probably the most targets out of all of them because Adam Gase loves slot receivers, and he was easily the most productive wide receiver. I think Crowder I'm not sure the statistics comparing Robby Andersen and Jameson Crowder, but I feel like Jameson Crowder had a more productive season. So going into the backups on this wide receiver group, this is where it gets a little iffy. I'm not confident in these backups at depth-wise. As one of these 3 guys goes down, who's going to step in and who's going to be productive? So we got Vincent Smith. The reason why I put him 4 is because I feel like when he did play last year, he showed a little flash of potential. He's a speedy guy. I remember that game against the Dolphins. Remember late in the fourth quarter, they gave him like a screen and he sprinted down the sideline for 40 yards. I was like, whoa, like I did not know he had that much burst in him. I feel like Vincent Smith's second year in the system, he can actually potentially be a surprise for this Jets offense. I'm trying to be optimistic, but I'm not trying to be delusional at the same time. I'm trying to look at Vincent Smith in a realistic manner, and I feel like he has potential to be something, but it's still a little iffy. Like he's our 4th or 5th receiver. That's kind of skeptical. Like he's someone that should be coming in as a backup, and he is a backup. But what I'm trying to say is he's somebody that I don't think can be consistently productive. As you can tell, when he was on the field, you saw little flashes. You never saw consistency. So that's a huge question mark. And then backing him up is Josh Dachshund. This is an interesting player because he was a former Washington Redskins like Jameson Crowder, and I'm pretty sure he went high in the draft. And he's a guy that when he was on the field, he was performing well on the Washington Redskins, but injuries held him back. So he moved away from the Redskins and he was a free agent, so the Jets signed him after last year. And it's weird because we didn't sign him in like free agency. We signed him after the year, so he's been on the Jets all offseason. So this is a guy that I feel like can provide quality depth. He's still young, still has potential. I feel like this wide receiver group is missing a veteran. I really hope we can go out there and re-sign Demaryius Thomas for a cheap deal or bring in some type of veteran presence. Everybody's pretty young, and we need that one guy that can come in and provide depth and veteran leadership. So that's what I feel like this group of wide receivers is missing the most for the Jets. So Josh Dachshund, can he come in and be a backup and plug and play, and can he be a beast? He could be. He has the potential to, but his injuries concern me. He was never really as consistent on the Redskins as he could have been. But like I said, he's still young, so he could develop into someone more than we've seen from him. So that's Josh Dachshund. And then 6, we got Braxton Barrios. Braxton Barrios is an interesting guy because he's more of a special teamer and a punt returner. And that one game against the Raiders when he had that like 69-yard reception that he went out in the 1-yard line, I don't know how he didn't get in the end zone. He definitely should have, but he didn't. Braxton Barrios was a former New England Patriot draft pick. He was like the 5th or 6th round. Patriots waived him, and then we signed him last year, and he was more of a backup slot receiver. I feel like I like Braxton Barrios. He's one of these guys in the depth field of wide receivers, like the backups, that I kind of look at, and I feel like there's some hope in him. He can be like that Julian Edelman type of a slot receiver, I feel like, and just he has that quickness to him. Like that one route against the Raiders, it was a quick little slant over the middle, and he caught it and just ran it for 69 yards. He has speed, and he provides value on special teams, and that's really valuable for the wide receiver position. Going into the undrafted rookies, I mean, before I go into those, obviously I need the big elephant in the room, Quincy Nua and Josh Bellamy are out for the whole 2020 season, and that's such a big blow. I was so excited for Quincy Wilson. Why do I keep saying Quincy Wilson? Because I just made a cornerback video. That's why I said his name multiple times. Quincy Nua, I'm so upset that he's out all year because I love Quincy. As all Jets fans do, we know he has so much potential. We know he can do this, but he just getting ruined by injuries, and that's so upsetting. Josh Bellamy, he was a special team guy. He never did anything on the wide receiver position. So it's really a big blow that they're out because we need depth. But we got these 2 undrafted free agents that I'm pretty excited about at the wide receiver position. Lawrence Cager out of Georgia, he's a 6'5" body. That's huge. And then George Campbell, he's a guy that's big and fast. So I definitely see one of these 2 making the roster because we have so many holes on this wide receiver position. Lawrence Cager is my pick to make the roster and provide an immediate impact, maybe in his rookie season, maybe not, because I feel like if he's playing, that means we have a lot of injuries, and I'm hoping we do not have a lot of injuries. But all these backups, like I have Vincent Smith 4th, Josh Dachshund 5th, like those are all toss-ups. I'm not saying like that he's better than him. This can all fluctuate going into the season, and we should definitely sign a veteran. So leave a comment down below what you guys think of this wide receiver group. You guys obviously heard my opinion. It's a little shaky, but there's definitely promise in Denzel Mims, and Brashaad Perriman can shock a lot of people and be really productive. If he can be that end-of-the-year Buccaneer player like it was last year all season, that would be really helpful for Sam Darnold. And then we got Jameson Crowder returning, a really good slot receiver. So like I just said, leave a comment down below what you guys thought of this video and your thoughts on the wide receiver group. So with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed. And as always, let's go Jets. I'll catch you guys in my next one. Peace.